Duncan sat in quiet thought long after his brother Desmond's words had faded into the air. The conversation had begun as a light-hearted talk between siblings, but it quickly turned serious, touching on matters of family, love, and the heavy future that awaited both him and Liberty. Desmond had raised a point that Duncan had long considered: the real reason Liberty was in Jensburg. The truth was undeniable. Liberty's presence there was not just for business. She was moving closer toward her destiny, one that tied her to the powerful Farrell family. It had already been confirmed that she and her sister were direct descendants of the Farrell lineage, and if Liberty followed through with her aunt Audrey's plan, she would challenge the current matriarch, Clarissa Farrell, for control of the family. Duncan understood the gravity of it all. If Liberty succeeded, she would no longer just be an entrepreneur or a loving mother. She would become the new head of one of the most influential families in Jensburg. That also meant that Duncan himself, by marriage, would carry the title of the Farrell family's son in law. For many men, it might have been a blow to pride. For Duncan, it was a choice he had already made in his heart. He didn't care about labels or status. All he wanted was to stand beside Liberty, no matter what the future demanded of him. He was prepared to face resistance, especially from his parents, who would struggle to accept that a son from the powerful Lewis family could ever become someone else's son in law. But Duncan's resolve was firm. Love had stripped away his pride long ago, replacing it with a quiet strength and unwavering devotion. He believed that with time, his family would come to understand. Desmond, though still cautious, respected his brother's determination. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, even with evidence of Liberty's rightful heritage. Decades had passed since the tragedy that changed the Farrell family's history. The current matriarch had ruled for years, solidifying her power and erasing every trace of wrongdoing that might threaten her position. To challenge her meant stepping into dangerous, uncertain territory. But Duncan was unshaken. Whatever Liberty faced, political battles, hidden enemies, or the weight of family legacy, he would face it with her. She had walked through darkness alone for too long. From now on, she would never walk alone again. After their conversation shifted to business matters, Desmond left, reminding Duncan to continue his rehabilitation diligently. Duncan promised he would. The thought of being able to stand beside Liberty, literally and figuratively, fueled his will to recover faster. Later that day, he planned to pick up Sony from kindergarten himself, eager for the simple joy of seeing the little boy's bright smile. While Duncan stayed in Willspoon, Liberty, miles away in Jensburg, was immersed in her own world of challenges. That afternoon, she arrived at the Grand Fortress Hotel, accompanied by her secretary and several staff members. A soft sneeze escaped her as she stepped out of the car, brushing off the chill in the air. Inside, the staff greeted her with respect, not merely because of her growing reputation, but because of who she was: Serenity's sister and someone closely associated with the York family. Her name carried quiet influence, though she never flaunted it. She was there for an important meeting with a new client. When the client was delayed, she waited patiently, her mind already running through numbers, logistics, and the potential of the deal. By the time the meeting began, she was calm, focused, and ready. An hour later, her efforts were rewarded. The contract was signed. The deal was large, enough to sustain her company for several months into the new year. Relief flooded through her. In business, security was never guaranteed. Orders meant livelihood for her employees and stability for the future she was building. As she escorted a client to his car, Liberty's heart was light. The day had gone well, and every small victory reminded her that she was capable, not just as a leader, but as a woman who had rebuilt her life from ruins. But peace, as always, was fleeting. Just as the client's car disappeared into traffic, two other vehicles approached the hotel entrance. At first, Liberty thought nothing of it. Cars came and went constantly at the busy five-star establishment. But in a split second, everything changed. The cars suddenly accelerated, speeding toward them with dangerous force. Her instincts kicked in, but there was no time to think. Her bodyguards lunged forward, pushing her out of harm's way. She stumbled backward, falling hard onto the pavement as one of the cars screeched and collided nearby. Chaos erupted, shouts, the rush of security guards, the blare of horns. Jim, her loyal bodyguard, stood between her and danger, shouting orders as the hotel staff surrounded them. The scent of burning rubber filled the air. The drivers were quickly confronted, their reckless act questioned. But Liberty's mind was elsewhere, her heart pounding, realizing just how thin the line was between stability and disaster. That moment reminded her of something vital. Power and success always came with risks, and as she brushed herself off and stood tall again, she knew one thing with certainty: she would not be intimidated. Not now, not ever.